Hey everybody, how's it going? Aaron back with you. I'm so happy to be bringing you guys new episodes again. There was that couple 2 weeks where I wasn't doing anything and it was really kind of getting to me, so I'm happy that I can get some good content for you. Some really good stories to share with people. So with that, today on the podcast, we have David and his gamer tag is Likker. Likker. He's one of our Discord members for the Center for Suicide Awareness and somebody that I've known since I really started joining Discord. I got to know just through gaming, and we talk about that on the podcast and how valuable it is to have a connection with somebody that, to be honest, I've never met them. And it's just really nice to be able to have somebody that you can share something with, even if they're not there with you. Sometimes it's just about trust. It's just about getting to know somebody just on a verbal level. You get to know a lot about people through gaming, and that's why I'm a big advocate for it. So this is a really good podcast. It's a quick one, but David has a lot of knowledge, and he gets to share his story, so I'm really happy that he got to. So that's all I have for you guys. Let's roll. Oh, can't do that. All right. So, hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have a really special guest with me, somebody that I actually met through our Discord community and through a bunch of people that I actually game with. And it's just really kind of cool to finally have him on. His name is David. I guess gamer tag is Likker, and he's from our Discord. So, Dave, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I know we kind of talked about this before connecting, and it's just great to have like this kind of community out there for gamers or whoever comes across it, just get encouragement and stories where they might need it. So thanks for what you and the center do.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really amazing because when I brought up, so my position is the video game outreach director, which is, the title, but I obviously do a bunch of other stuff with the online community, but especially with the gaming community. When I brought this up, and before I even started this position, I would game with you guys and I would, kind of learn more and create these friendships and stuff. And then it was really cool because when I started this, everybody was so on board with the idea of, they're like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's do this. And so it was really neat to have this kind of backing from the guys that I gamed with before. And I should say guys and girls, I should say. But David, you messaged me and said that, I have a story that would basically be impactful for a bunch of the listeners and for people that can relate to you've gone through. So, take it away. Tell me whatever you want. Tell me however much you want. But yeah, this is your platform, bud.
Thanks for letting me on. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I just kind of want to share a quick version of, I guess, like my life story from 5 to 13, how I kind of got down in the pits and came out of it, and hopefully everybody who comes across this podcast can get some encouragement and get out of any situations that might be similar to mine. Kind of going back to early David, like little me around 5, 6, 7, just when I was growing up, I had some kind of issue where I had trouble communicating with other people. I had like a little bit of a stutter. It took me a while to gather my thoughts and figure out what I had to say, so I had to see a speech pathologist, and just a combination of that. And I've always been a bit of a loner, introvert, kind of a shy guy. So I had some trouble making friends. I had trouble communicating, kind of coming up with what I needed to say. So because of those various issues or situations surrounding me, like growing up, I had my brother and a few friends wherever we lived when my family moved around, but it was kind of an isolated. Over time, I kind of snowballed, and I started to get, a little bit of feelings of depression, of not being loved, being alone in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
So that kind of continued to snowball through when I was a little kid. And I feel like it's relevant to mention during its time. Like by the time I got around like 10 years old, I always grew up in like a conservative Christian home, so they always took me to church, did that kind of a lifestyle. And
Yeah.
during that time, I found God as a 10-year-old at like this beach outdoor kind of concert.
Sure.
So just like with the music playing, it kind of touched me. And in the moment, I gave my life to Christ. But at the same time, moving on from that, like I had that connection with God, but I still felt these feelings of, depression, isolation, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So just moving up as you get older, I'm sure everybody can relate to this. Like you start getting involved in your own little cliques and everything
For
through
sure. Yep.
school, and sometimes some groups are like the jocks or cheerleaders, and you're popular, you're cool, you have a lot of people around you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make friends really easy. Then there's like other groups. When I'm kind of feeling like the nerdy, kind of awkward gamer kind of guy, so it's kind
Me
of
too.
yeah. So I don't know how many friends you had at the time, but I had like my own couple of guys I hung out with, and we got
Yeah.
along pretty well. But it's just the connection with your bros is a little different than finding a girlfriend and everything at that
For
point.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
at that point in time, being 13, like what guy doesn't want to find a girl? And I wasn't really having the success with that. I wasn't really feeling like I fit in because I had my little group of friends. But when I try to branch out and communicate with other people, it just didn't. We just didn't connect. Not that it's
Sure.
anybody's fault, but it just didn't work out, kind of a thing.
Yeah. No, that's understandable though.
So over time, just like I felt like I was getting overwhelmed with like just not fitting in, not having someone special, not really feeling loved. Around this time, like my parents, they were always together and they're still together, but like my dad, he didn't want us to move from where we were living in Florida because from like when I was 5 to like at this point 13, we moved like 4 or 5 times. So I never really got like a hometown until this point
Wow.
when someone asked me like, "Oh, where do you grow up?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess South Florida, the whole region." Like I don't
Right.
really have a hometown. It's like I left where I was born, Indianapolis, when I was 2. I lived in like Illinois and Michigan and a couple different cities in Florida. It's like kind of bounced around a whole lot. So
Right.
my dad didn't want us to keep doing that. So he's like, all right, I got a new job that paid really well, but it's in Illinois. So I'll just do like this commute thing. And at the time, he was at like a high enough position where he could actually get away with that. So he'd like
Yeah.
fly up during the week, like leave Sunday night and come back. You'd try to come back if possible for like Friday night, Saturday morning, depending on
Yeah.
what kind of flights were available. Some weekends he make it, some he didn't. He did the best he could, but
Yeah.
it's just that that was one of the things that kind of added to it because if I needed to talk to my dad, it wasn't like I had a great chance just with everything going on in his life
For
with
sure.
a high level executive position, the travel and everything that he could really, I guess, get time to talk to me in between whatever
Right.
he was doing. So
Yeah.
everything that was going on that aggravating it, I was just like, you know what, if I'm just going to always be like kind of this guy who can't really fit in with most people and just always kind of be alone, I don't really feel like I want to deal with this anymore. So
Sure.
at the time where we were living in Florida, we had a um, house with a swimming pool. And I was like, well, usually my mother's around it, but if I put on my trunks, act like I'm going swimming, like, it'd be low key, nobody's going to really know what's going on, then I can just go out there and drown myself, commit suicide that way.
Hmm.
And I knew, like, I don't know how I knew this, but I knew that if you try to kill yourself sometimes, like if you're not really committed, you'll try to like back out of it. So I'm like, this plan's great because I know even if I back out of it, I can just go down as many times as I need to.
Yeah.
And eventually I could unfortunately now look back on it off myself that way.
Yeah.
So that was my plan, and I kind of just went out there and I got in the water and I had a little bit of a hesitation to do it. Like, do I really want to go through with this? And going back to what I mentioned before being a Christian, I was like, all right, I've heard all my life that God's real. I don't know like how you really hear from God. Like I know you can pray to him, but how does he talk back kind of deal? So I'm like,
Right.
no, if there's one person that cares about me, I won't do this. So I kind of just said prayers like, God, I need you right now. And if you're real, I need someone to tell me that they love me. And like, I don't know how to really explain it, but I heard like at that moment someone say like, I love you. I'm like, at the time, like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of in disbelief because I didn't think that kind of thing. I heard that on like TV testimonials, but I didn't really think it was real, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's so it's just like, all right, so, I'm like, God, what just happened? If that's really you, like, tell me like one more time. And I heard him again say, I love you. And
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I guess I was just selfish in the moment, and or just in disbelief because I'm like, there's no way that just happened.
Yeah.
So like at that moment, like I still tried to go through with the plan, like put my head underwater, and just planned like this is going to be my last moment.
Hmm.
And at at that moment when I felt like I was beginning to black out, I kind of just saw like a figure in light be like, but David, I loved you and I still do. And I was just like, at that moment, it actually sunk in, and I was like, all right, I'm going to live then, and pull my head out of the water. But at that point, like I was just under, I guess, for too long. And
Hmm.
I kind of cramped up and just couldn't get up and began to sink. And I was just like, I'm sorry I waited too long, but whatever happened next, I was on the side of my pool, and my brother was giving me CPR and like brought me back, and I was just like, "How did I get here?" And he's like, "I don't know how you got over here, but you were out." So I just knew from class, like from our health class, to do that. So he just kind of did it and brought me back. But
Wow.
um, I guess you going back to what you first said, I had this story I want to share with people. I just want to get this message out there, whether you want to believe in religion or not. There's God out there loves you, or there's our community that's out there for you, and don't go through with it. Every life is special. Everyone's loved. If you're in a tough spot right now, you just haven't found like the right people for you to connect with, and we want to see you succeed.
Yeah. No. Wow. David, I didn't really know that whole story. And that's very powerful. And I mean, coming from a very similar background, as far as both of my parents. I didn't have a lot of the moving that you experienced, but you know having that click that you one initially would just be with those couple close people that you could just always rely on. I was with them, and one of our other guys on the Discord is actually one of them. What year was that when you tried?
Now I'm gonna have to do some quick math to try to figure this out.
Sure.
99-ish, I
99.
think's right.
Okay. Yeah. So which leads me to my point of like at that time, in 1999, what did you feel like was, if was there any real resource available like that you could have gone to, or was there anything that really would have helped in that time?
In that time, that's a good question. I don't know if there really was much at that time. I think the thing kind of then was like, go talk to adult, as goofy as that sounds, because I
Right.
mean, we had internet back then, but it was dial up, and like my family had like an older computer, so we didn't even really use it that
Right,
much.
right.
Maybe there's something online that I wasn't aware of, but other than like, my parents are like maybe a suicide hotline, but as a
Hmm.
13-year-old, I want to really know about.
Right.
I don't know what else we really had back then.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of the, like, how times have changed, because yeah, I was right in that same time frame with you. I didn't know about any of that. I didn't know if there was a hotline for that.
Hmm.
I grew up with anxiety and depression, and I didn't know what that was. I never really knew that I was depressed. I never really knew that I had anxiety. Yeah, I felt like I did, but I was never diagnosed with anything. I never saw
Yeah.
anybody. I never saw a therapist. But you think about that, like how many resources there are now and how much connectivity there is to help people. And then you look at, like, you and I back in 1999, there was like you said, a dinosaur computer that really, what you'd play Oregon Trail on,
Yeah, there's
something like,
nothing.
there was nothing. And so that's why I asked that question, because that's kind of important to say, like, look, there wasn't a lot of resources for a 13-year-old back in that time.
Yeah, and it's great now because with what you're doing with the Discord, where it's just like every YouTuber has a Discord that anybody can join easy. You have your Twitch where you're playing games and talking with the chat. It's like so easy to get connected now.
Right.
It's why it's so great you're doing what you're doing, because now people don't have to feel isolated or as alone, or if they do, there's somewhere they can turn to that's easily accessible and that people actually know about.
Exactly. And I think it's amazing that there is so much available. And that's why when you told me, you're like, I want to share my story, I was really apt to have you on, because one, not only do I, and this drives home the point of what the internet and gaming can do, because I don't know you physically at all. All I know
Yeah,
is your voice, and probably, from what you see with me on Twitch or anything like that. But I've never
right,
met you in person. However, look at the connection that we've made based
right.
upon, gaming, or based upon just talking on Discord. Those are relationships that keep people going. And that's where
It really is.
I'm such an advocate for that. I really am. And I'm just happy that there are people that believe in that message too.
I'm right on board with you because I have like my handful of friends from high school and college that I'll play games with sometimes, and a couple of times a year we'll get together and do a trip to like Disney or go hang out in our old
Yeah.
college town, something like that. But I mean, I also have, you and like four, five, six guys from Discord that I've never met physically.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I only know what one of them looks like because I work with them. Then
Yeah.
I know you because the Twitch.
Hmm.
Other than that, like, I know their first name and maybe what their profession is, and that's it. But I can go play like hundreds of hours of games with them throughout the year, and it's like crazy.
But isn't that amazing? Like, you look at, like, so I'm going to throw out just like a bunch of different names for people that have no idea because they're not on our Discord. But like, you look at one of our mods, his name is Squid, or, that's his handle. And
Yeah.
he shares photos of his dog, growing up. And he shares all of these like things that you would share with family. Like, so yeah, you can almost consider like our
Yeah.
Discord is a family of some sort. And that's
It's
just,
more
that's,
it's more connected than my work family. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's really true. It's like I've actually seen the people before this whole COVID thing kicked off
yeah.
that I worked with, and I knew a little bit about them, but people I've never met before through the Discord, I know a whole bunch about them. Know what their dog looks like. I know they're remodeling their house.
Yeah.
Know their sense of humor. Like it's a great invention to
it,
have
it
it.
is it's a great feeling to really know that, and we say this all the time, especially in the gaming realm, that this is not necessarily I'm playing Mario in my basement by myself anymore. I mean, this is literally I don't have to sit next to you to play a game, but I could spend hours and hours talking to you just playing this game about stuff that's going on in my life. And it's totally okay to do that. And it's connectivity that is so needed and valuable right now, especially with COVID. And I think, for a shameless plug, I think gamers, especially like in our situation, like PC gamers, where we would talk to people all the time, like on Discord, we had this advantage because it was super easy to do in the first place.
Yeah, easy and it's fun too. Like
exactly. And so kind of going back to what you were saying, about like the day that happened and, how that all kind of came about. So your brother found you and was doing CPR.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
I mean, it's like a crazy moment. Like, I didn't even know he knew I went out there. He must have seen me like when I was heading to the bathroom or changing my trunks or something. Like,
right.
He was just, I mean, it's 20 years ago, but if I'm remembering what he was doing, right, I think he was just in our room doing N64 because that was the system from back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, did he have any idea, or like, did you guys ever talk about that?
We never talked about it. It's something I just always kept to myself. I think something that serious and it's something that will like end you and such a big topic, something you should definitely discuss. But
right.
At the time, being as young as I was and just like my frame of mind, I think I was acting more on emotion than trying to think it through. And
more
at the time, it's something I was struggling with, and I knew it's like I don't know if me saying I knew it was taboo at the time to kind of talk about suicide's the right way to think about it, but I think it's something that if I brought it up, then it would cause like this whole scene or situation, and like parents who want to do therapy. And at the time, I'm like, I want help, but I don't know if I want coming from that kind of a scenario.
But you're not alone in thinking that, because how many people don't talk about it for fear of, like, I look at this way, like, if somebody was to come to me today, knowing what I know now after 12 years in law enforcement, doing all of these trainings with suicide and mental health, and if somebody came to me and said, Aaron, I kind of feel like I'm going to kill myself, I suppress that initial emotional response of, oh my God, we have to help you. We have to do this right now. It's logical. You're here with me at the moment. Okay. What can I do for you? What can I do to keep you safe? You can talk about it. I'm not going to freak out. But if you would have asked me when I was, 13, 15, 16 years old, I would have been freaking out. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's perspective, and that's just talking and learning about it.
And I like to think from myself, like going through it and just kind of how going to college and not necessarily a police background, but like being an analyst professionally. I like to think that everything I've gone through will make me open minded, where I'm not like, oh, let's like go like take you to a shrink or something like that. But I like to think at that moment I would try to like connect with them and befriend them, because that's what they really need. Be like, oh man, that's like terrible that you're thinking that. Why you think about that, and maybe try like if we're out, go like just go like game or do something fun. Just kind of like take them in.
Right.
Kind of like be their friend, but also like an ear to hear what they have to say.
But that's also what they're looking for. They're looking for that sense of connection. They're looking for something that they're obviously missing, but you're also giving them hope. And that's if you don't have hope, that's one of the driving factors to why people die by suicide. It's because they feel like they don't have hope. They feel like there's nothing there anymore. But there's always something. And like, even in your case, you reached out to God. You said, I need this. I need you to show me something. And he did. He, she, whatever, he did. And that's super valuable, even if it's something like that. Like, I've shared this story, I think maybe I've shared it on the podcast, or I've shared it on Twitch, or I don't remember offhand, but when I was on the road, I was talking with this guy that had taken a bunch of pills and said he wanted to kill himself because his girlfriend broke up with him, and he locked himself inside the house. And just like every scenario, like where he was like, this is going to happen whether you like it or not. So his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend at the time called us, and we get there and can't get in the house. He's, I don't want to say the word mocking, but he's also like, saying like, no, you're not getting in here. This is what it is. And I connected with him, and I was just talking with him through the door. And I eventually, step by step, he opens the door, and I'm talking with him in the A-frame or in the frame, and I'm talking with him more. And I just asked him, from a guy that was like super steadfast to say he wanted to die by suicide, I said to him, I said, is there anything that you feel like can give you hope? Anything? And he goes, I love my dog. And I go, okay. I said, what's your dog's name? And he, I can't remember what he said, but he was talking about it. And I said, yeah, I have a golden doodle at home. He's a big doofus. And I connected with him. I connected with him on that level. And I said, what would be the one thing that would keep you here for tomorrow? And he goes, definitely my dog. And I said, what would happen if you were gone? And he goes, I don't know. I think my ex-girlfriend would take him, or, you guys would take him, or you go to the pound or something. I go, that's obvious. Yeah. I don't want that to happen. And just that simple frame of mind, like that was his thing. And I connected with him on a dog, and he came with me voluntarily. I didn't have to do anything that was bad, but he, till this day, will remember the fact that I connected with him on that and gave him a little bit of perspective to say, like, that is something worth living for.
Yeah, there's someone out there who cares.
There always is. Yeah. It's so important. And that's why it's just, we try to keep advocating the fact that you're not alone in anything that you do, or nobody's alone. So it's super important in that perspective. So if you don't mind talking about it a little more, after that happened, what happened with you? Like, did you continue to have those thoughts, or like what was going through your head afterwards?
I wouldn't say, I mean, after that happened, I was like, I just experienced a miracle. So it kind of like strengthened my faith. And like, I never had the thoughts to commit suicide or do anything like that again because of what I went through. At the time, things kind of stayed the same through middle school. It's just like me and my small group of friends. And I felt like sometimes I felt isolated alone, but at that point, like, I would either just like stick tighter with my brother, or, religion stick there.
Yeah.
And it got a little better over time, as I think for a lot of people it does when you're growing up.
Right.
Going through high school, I still kept mostly the same group of friends, but I ran into more people who kind of call, like, your school acquaintance or your school friend, just kind of like fit a little bit better, got on the tennis team. So I was able to make, I guess, connections there, and at least like gave me like a place where I felt connected, in a place where it gave me like something to strive for, try and make myself better, because I'm not super competitive, but I wanted to do well for the guys on the team.
Right.
And I was in a position where there's like 5 guys on the team, and like I was the 5th guy, like the 5th best guy, but I always got paired up against the other teams, like low B, and I was better than those guys. So I'm like, all right, I'm not the best guy out there, but as long as I keep practicing and trying for them
and contributing,
I can contribute to the team, exactly, and help them succeed. So
but
kind of got a little purpose there.
It was that, like, that was your tribe, that was your group, and that's important. That is important, because it's showing you that there was a place that I felt, again, I keep using that word, connected, because that's all it really is.
That is a huge thing too. I mean, whereas human beings, like, we're social creatures, so they say you need, like, food, water, and shelter kind of thing to survive, but really we also need that sense of belonging and connection to really be who we can be, as corny as that sounds.
No, it's not corny, because it's true. It really is true. And it's just, That's the point. It's people that can share their experiences and share their story and really bring awareness to the fact that, yes, we all are people that need that connection. Regardless or not, you can say you're the toughest MFer ever, but you still need somebody to rely on no matter what. And that's why it's very, very important. And, and it's amazing to hear that. It's amazing to hear that from somebody that I literally a game with on, I would say, a semi-daily basis. And it's nice to hear that even somebody that I'm connected with that shares that same mantra. And that's very, very important. And it's nice. Yeah. It is just nice to hear that. So
if anybody out there is feeling alone or feeling these kind of urges, just reach out to, we got the Twitch there and the Discord that for the Suicide Awareness Center. We're here for you, and we like to play games, just hang out and hear a story, try to connect with you.
Well, I love the shameless plug that you give us. So,
yeah. No, it's great. I mean, it's true though. That's one of the reasons why I want to come on here is I don't want anybody to end up where I could have ended up. And whether it's you got this great service because people can, even if they have literally no one, they can still find someone through what you have set up. And I mean, around me, I know I had trouble connecting, but I have a hard time believing that someone noticed me back then having these kind of issues. Like you're saying, we have these better resources now. If someone could have picked up on my vibe, that even like a complete stranger doesn't want you to go through a suicide. Right. So just know someone's there for you.
That's a very powerful message, and I think that's really important to really soak on. I really do. I do ask, since I mean, this is more of a conversational style podcast, but I always say this because that's the best segue I can into this. But I do ask one question on the podcast to every single guest, and you kind of probably already answered it, but you can do it again. What's your advice for anyone that's ever been in your situation or has resonated with something you've said today?
Just know that outside the biggest bullies out there's no one who's going to hear what you have to say, that you're alone, you're depressed, that you need help. There's no one out there that if they hear that is just going to turn a blind eye and not care about you. Like you said earlier, if you're a young man or a boy like 13 years old, you might tell your 13-year-old friend that he's not going to know necessarily the best way to respond to that, but he's going to still do what he can to show you that he cares and loves you. So
yeah,
one thing I would tell people is you're truly not alone.
Exactly. I mean, you said it the best. Even if you said it to a complete stranger, that stranger's not just going to disregard what you said, because generally 99.9% of the population cares about people. I mean, it's just the truth. And you're right.
It is. There's I forget the name of it. It's some show on ABC. Was I think it's like What Would You Do or something.
Yeah.
The name of it. Yeah, it's like I saw a scene from it. Actually, it's part of a train at work where it's just like these two people at like this ritzy restaurant just being like complete a-holes to like this Hispanic actor they had there, kind of like telling them, you shouldn't be in the country, this is for customers, get out here. And like people, they're just total strangers, they don't know what's going on, but they all like gave like the couple who are being a-holes a bunch of crap for how they were treating them. And it's like, this is the same for you. If people can see that you're in a situation, if they don't know you, they'll give you some kind of positive compassion, yes, something.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly it. It's just, and this is exactly why I do this podcast, because there are people all over the world that need to hear stories. They need to hear that people have gone through what they've gone through. So I can't tell you enough, David, how much I appreciate you coming on here and talking about this, because even if you think it's, not important or it isn't valuable, trust me, it's more valuable than I think you'll ever realize. So I really do appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for letting me have a chance to tell my story. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for anybody that's listening, obviously you can join the Discord. You can talk with David. His handle is Likker, Likker or something like that. But
that's right. Yeah.
Join the Discord, and you can be able to talk with him if you need to. But again, yeah, David, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, David, for coming on the podcast and sharing your story. It is valuable. Any story that anybody can share, it's something to relate to. And sharing those stories and sharing them, especially now, is only going to help people. Talking about it, breaking that stigma together, it's a wonderful thing. It really is. So, Dave, thanks so much. Again, I appreciate it. So if you like the podcast today, please like, share, subscribe, follow on any listening platform that you listen to podcasts on. iTunes, Podbean, Podcast Addict, you name it, we're on it. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us that 5 stars. We need it. Follow us on our social pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Discord. All are at Center for Suicide Awareness in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. Otherwise, you can click the links below down in the show notes. They are there for your convenience. You know, we referenced it in the podcast today about how there wasn't so many resources available back in, the early days, as I say that, trying to date myself here. But in like 1999, texting wasn't the biggest thing yet. There wasn't resources, but now there is. And it's super convenient, just like what we have, the Hope Line. You text Hope Line to 741-741, and you'll be connected to a trained counselor free of charge to talk about whatever issue you have going on. And it's okay to talk about it. And it's okay to really let it out, because if you don't have an outlet, there is always one available for you. So you have to remember that. It's as simple as a text. It's as simple as just taking the step to do it. So again, text Hope Line, 741-741. Every day we look at news and we look at the stories and we look at what's going on in this world, and it always seems so bleak, but we'll keep trucking. We'll keep our heads held high, and we'll keep spreading positivity, and we'll keep promoting the good stuff, because there's a lot of bad stuff that we hear about, but let's keep hearing about the good stuff. As I say every week, be kind to one another. Be kind. You are loved and you are important. And remember, you are not alone. Take care, everybody. Bye.